I'm Laura Brandenburg from Bridging the Gap. And one of the most common challenges I see business analysts face is a struggle to help stakeholders understand the value of business analysis on any type of project. And quite honestly, this leads to challenges in gaining credibility for the role. Now, let me just say that I know what it is like to feel like you constantly have to be paving this path to do business analysis. And I also get the pressure that you probably feel to just get things done without the proper time and analysis. I've succumbed to that pressure many times in my career, but it's always been to my ultimate regret. And it is incredibly difficult to feel like you're always the one pushing back, and it can be really, really hard to keep asking questions when it seems like everyone else has things figured out. But here's the deal, the spoiler alert. They don't have things figured out, right? And you and I, we know deep in our souls that we're doing our projects, our teams, our companies a disservice if we don't do the right analysis and keep asking questions. When self-doubt creeps in though, or that lack of confidence that you should keep asking questions or doing the analysis to move your project forward, you need a structure to fall back on, a framework to guide you and reaffirm for you that you are indeed on the right track. And that's what the 8-step process framework that we teach at Bridging the Gap is all about. So I wanted to share this with you, and I'm going to walk you through it quickly. I cover it in more detail in our Quick Start to Success workshop, which you can register for and go through on your own time. The link to that is below, bridgingthegap.com/quick. But let's do a quick review here because this framework is incredibly, incredibly important to setting you up for success as a business analyst. So step 1 is getting oriented. This is when you figure out who your stakeholders are, what your role is on this project, and what is the critical background information that I need to just get started. And this might take a couple of hours. It might take a couple of days. It really shouldn't take more than that unless you are in a really huge project where you have to do a lot of current state documentation just to even get started. Step 2 is discovering the primary business objectives. So this is where you figure out, why are you doing this project? Why is your company investing in it? What is the anticipated return on investment? What problem are you trying to solve? And you do the really heavy lifting work of getting your stakeholders aligned on this business objective. And it's going to feel a little slow at first to focus here, but it gives you huge momentum and huge wins down the road. So one of our course participants who applied this framework for the first time, and she was in a very informal environment, and an environment that actually applauded itself on its lack of formality, right? So they were not really excited about seeing a process framework like this or having more structure and discipline in their business analysis practice. But they did recognize that when she led them through the process to understand their business objectives, the project flowed more smoothly and they had a clearer understanding of what needed to be done. And so they did see value in the work, even though they wouldn't have seen value in the structure, right? So sometimes we just have to start doing the pieces that we know are right and allowing that work to demonstrate its value on its own. So that brings us to step 3, which is defining the scope. And this is, what does the actual solution look like at a high level? What are the pieces and parts that need to be in place? And what are we actually doing for this project? As BAs, we can tend to think big and want to think about all the ways we might solve the problem and allow scope to get bigger than it needs to be. We really need to narrow ourselves in and focus on what is in scope for this project, given the time, the resources, and the budget that we have available. And from there, we come up with our business analysis plan. So this is, what are the deliverables that I need to create to define the scope and detail out the scope into an implementable form? Who are the stakeholders I need to have involved, and what are the timelines that each of those deliverables can be done in. And this is where you start to gain really key credibility with your project manager by being able to give them a realistic, reasonable plan of when the requirements will actually be done. It's super important because if you don't define that plan, somebody else is going to give you a deadline, and it's probably going to be way more aggressive than what you come up with. So from there, you actually start with the getting things done, right? The defining the detailed requirements. This is where you analyze your business processes and write your use cases or user stories. You're validating, analyzing, documenting requirements, working with stakeholders collaboratively, creating your visual models, making sure everybody understands what in detail is going to happen, what that solution is going to look like, and you're getting both your business and your technical users on the same page about the requirements. From there, you switch from being a very driving role to more of a supportive role. And so as the technical team implements the requirements, you might be involved to help clarify the requirements or to handle issues that come up. As the business implements that solution or tests that solution for the first time, starts to work with that solution, you can be involved in managing the user acceptance testing, managing change requests. Once they see it, they might need these little tweaks, or they might forget how they are supposed to adjust their business process to use the new solution. And so you might need to be involved in some retraining and some rollout processes to ensure that the business can really use that solution effectively. And then as a capstone, you assess the value that is created by that solution. So what is the return on investment that your organization has received from all the work that's been done, both by you and your other team members? And is that aligned with the original goals that you set in step 2? And, if not, if there's still pieces that need to be pulled out or reconsidered, you can start those as new projects, and you start the cycle over again. And this is how one project can always set you up for another project within business analysis. Okay, so that is the business analysis process framework. And my challenge to you, or my invitation to you, is to just get started using the framework. Leverage it, allow it to help you gain increased recognition for the value of business analysis in your organization. And as you do so, you will start to get pulled into more interesting projects and often start to get pulled in earlier in the process. So one of the biggest challenges I see BAs face is I know I'm supposed to be doing steps 2 through 3, but I get pulled in and they already think we're in step 5, right? So as you start to put these steps in place in your work, you will start to get pulled in earlier. I do see business analysts really resist having a process like this because it can seem to us like every project is different. And honestly, every project is different, right? The stakeholders are different, the technologies are different. Hopefully the problem you're solving is different. You're not solving the same problem again and again and again, right? But that does not mean that you have to feel like every project you have to just make things up and start from scratch. The framework that I just showed you is flexible in the sense, but it's also a guidance. It's flexible in the sense that you get to figure out how to apply that step on your specific project, but it's structured, and then it gives you a sequence of steps to go through. And I will say it is structured and flexible, and it is iterative. So even though we present it in a very sequential way, just for the utility and the ability to kind of consume it as a process, you do go back and forth between the steps. And if you're in an agile environment, you might often be in multiple steps at once for different parts of the process or for different aspects of what you're working on, but you will still go through all those steps for every part of the project if you are doing business analysis effectively on that project. So if you do want to learn more about this process and about succeeding in your business analyst career, I do invite you to join the Quick Start to Success workshop. That link is below, and I will teach you the ins and outs of the business analysis process framework, as well as the career path and the success path of what it takes to be successful as a business analyst. And again, this is about you increasing your effectiveness. It's about finding confidence to do what's right for your project and your team, even when there are pressures to just get things done. We build our profession one business analyst at a time, and success starts with you. Thanks for being here.